Hi, thanks for joining me. So, another question that I got asked was if we have free will and we have soul contracts, isn't that contradicting one another? And it's not, because it's also similar to another question that the same person asked me was how much of our lives are predetermined? I would say, from experience, because none of us know absolutely everything. I'm just going on years and years of working in this and from being on the other side and what I have discovered. The lessons that our soul has said that they will go through is the predetermined part. Because our soul is an energy form and all it is here for is growth and expansion so that we can take that information back to source energy and say, well, this is what it felt like. This is how we went through these lessons. The whole, the type of job, the type of house, the possessions side of thing, that's not a care for the soul, because the soul knows none of that goes with you when you die. So the predetermined part is the lessons. All the other stuff that you choose, you create, the human self that creates, is the free will. So it doesn't matter. I often say this: we are here to serve. All of us are here to serve in some capacity, but it doesn't matter what the job is. So it doesn't matter if you are cleaning someone's home or if you're in a motel and you're a cleaner. You're providing a service for somebody else. You're making the place comfortable. You're putting your energy into the room for somebody to stay there that's going to have a holiday. If you're a barista or you're a waitress in a restaurant, if you are serving tables or you're making food, you are bringing a joy, you're bringing a service to somebody else. If you are a nurse, you're bringing a service, you're bringing care and a service to somebody else. If you are working in an office job and you're taking inquiries, you are bringing a service to somebody else. It doesn't matter what the job is. The theory behind that job is you are being of service to somebody else. That is what is a predetermined joy of your soul. The free will is the path you take to give that soul the lesson. So let's say with soul contracts, let's say the soul decides that we're going to talk in two different timelines here. We're going to talk in two different lives. Let's say in the 1920s, there was a mother and a daughter, and they couldn't get along for the life of them. They had a conflict of their personalities conflicted. They couldn't accept this. The daughter could never accept the beliefs of the mother. The mother could never accept the beliefs of the daughter. There was a constant bickering. There was disruption in the family because of these two. Everyone else was getting along, but these two were just loggerheads with each other. So when it comes to a point when they've both passed away, their lifetime is finished. The mother might have passed first and then the daughter years later. When those two souls return to source energy, there is kind of like an acceptance of, well, this is the way I interacted with you and this is the way you interacted. Do you think we could have done that a bit better? Just, is my soul now looking at it saying, well, I could have been a bit more accepting. I could have tried to understand why you were like you were. You could have tried to understand like why I was like I was. We could have done things better. So those two souls decide that in 2002, they're going to both end up being born into the same family, and they come as sisters. There is some kind of memory there contained in that soul that I'm here this time to learn to get along with females in my family a lot better than I did in a previous life. So that's a predetermined soul contract. that is a soul contract, because this soul and this soul have come back to see if they could make things work a lot better than they did in a previous lifetime. It can also happen with an energy decides to come into a human body and decide, I am going to learn how to, I'm an empathetic soul. I have so much empathy and caring for everyone else. And I'm going to come into contact with people that are lost, people that have disconnected from their soul. I'm going to come into contact with them. So I'm going to find bullies. I'm going to find narcissistic people. I'm going to find big egos. I'm going to find self-absorbed people. I'm going to find them all in my lifetime. I'm going to have a contract with all those souls to teach them empathy. And at the same time, they are going to teach me boundaries, because if I'm just going to let them all walk over the top of me, I'm not learning anything about myself. So they are soul contracts. And there could be 7, 8, 9, 10 soul contracts. This one empathetic person can come into contact with 10 other people that have bully personalities, that have narcissistic personalities. Now, those people that are narcissistic and bullies, they're also on a soul journey, because their soul may have decided, I'm going to come into this life and this time around, I'm going to be a bully. I'm going to bully other, I'm going to do whatever I can to get, because I want to know that experience. The soul wants to know how it feels in a human body to be a bully. Or a soul wants to know how it feels to be in a human body to be an empath. Or a soul wants to know what it feels like to be in a body of someone who's confident or somebody that's shy. So we are sort of creating, the free will of us is creating that person, but the soul is saying, okay, I understand this. I understand what it is. Excuse me. I understand what it is to be in a body that acts like this. And underneath all that, even though somebody is a bully and somebody is a narcissist, underneath all that, their soul is still saying, you can do this differently. There is a different way you can be living your life. You could be nicer to people. It's always there. But the free will of the human brain is saying, I am not listening. I'm not listening to my soul. I don't care if my soul wants me to learn empathy or sympathy or kindness. I don't care. I'm so stuck in my brain. I'm going to keep being a bully. I'm going to keep being nasty to people. I'm choosing that. That's the free will. If one of those people that are like that decided that they don't like living that way anymore, and they start doing a lot of meditation and they start really connecting with themselves, they start to see their ego. They see it as clear as day, and they go, oh my God, I've been living purely from the ego. I've just totally ignored my soul. And then they can go back. They can go back into a connection to their soul. So the soul is happy with the soul is like, even if you have the toughest life ever, you're like, oh, everything is against me. I feel so alone in this journey. Every time I try to do something, it fails. The human part of you will judge that and judge it and judge it. Pull it to pieces, criticize it, victimize it. The soul will go, well, now I know what that feels like. The soul is happy with everything. The soul is like, well, I know what that feels like to be really, really, and the soul sees it as, but look how much resilience I'm learning. Look how much strength I'm learning. I'm having the worst stuff ever happen to me, yet I'm still pushing through. That's what the soul sees. The human side of us doesn't see it like that. The human side of us sees it like everything's going wrong. So, yeah, the contracts are always there for what the lessons are going to be. But the free will is, I don't have to learn the lessons. It's kind of like if your soul contract said, just putting it in human terms for a minute, I'm going to go and learn maths class, English class, dance class, and swimming lessons. That's what the soul contract is. And the human self goes, well, okay, I've signed up for all those 4 things. That felt like I was supposed to do it, so I signed up for it. 4 months in, your human self can go, I don't want this maths class. I'm not going to do it. So you leave. That's the free will. You're meant to be like, and quite often when you're really meant to learn something, if your soul has come here to learn resilience, it'll find a way to learn resilience. You might be in a job that puts so much pressure on you, and you're learning to have patience and resilience to just push through to get through it. Or if you don't learn it from a job, you might learn it in a relationship with somebody to learn resilience. If you don't learn it in a relationship, you might learn it in a craft that you're trying to master. There will be some way that your soul will get that contract to you. And contracts end. Contracts have a term period on them where they end. So if I've just had somebody just walk, did you see that? Someone just walked past me. If you've had, let's say you needed to learn to find yourself and have full confidence in yourself that you didn't need somebody else. You might be in a relationship for 20 years being codependent on that other person, and over that 20 years they didn't really give you much. They didn't really encourage you, they didn't help you. So while you were in that relationship, you had to learn to do everything yourself. You learnt that because of the situation that was going on around you. You learnt, I can do this on my own. And after a 20-year period, you decide, I could actually live on my own. I don't need that other person anymore. The contract ends. Why does the contract end? Because that person was in your life to teach you the strength to do things on your own. That soul came into your life with the pure knowledge that they were going to not give you much, they weren't going to contribute to your life much, to teach you that you can do it for yourself. And when you got that lesson, you leave. You end the contract. So that's the difference between a soul contract and free will, because they work together. They're not opposites. They're not contradictory of one another. So hopefully that makes sense.